Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive with us.
Always fun to dive into a new topic.
Absolutely. And today we're going to be looking at the Acura NSX,
Oh, yeah, a classic.
using this awesome 1991 brochure as our guide.
Wow. Back when brochures were the way to get the word out.
I know, right? It's kind of
Next.
cool to hold this piece of history and see how excited they were about this car.
You can practically feel the energy leaping off the page.
For sure. And we're not just going to be talking about the specs.
Right.
We're going to dig deeper into the philosophy behind the NSX. What made it so groundbreaking?
It really was a game changer in so many ways.
Definitely Acura wanted to create something truly special with this car.
It wasn't just about speed or looks.
Exactly. They even call it a mission statement in the brochure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like it embodied their entire vision for what a performance car should be.
A statement about their values.
Totally. And they say it appealed to emotion and intelligence, not just ego.
That's a good distinction.
Right, like they weren't just trying to appeal to people who wanted to show off.
They were targeting driving enthusiasts who appreciated the finer points of engineering.
And that mission took time, 6 years in the making.
Wow, that's a long time to develop a car.
I know, right? It shows how dedicated they were to getting it right.
It wasn't about rushing to market and making a quick profit.
They wanted to build something truly world-class, something that would stand the test of time.
And they definitely achieved that.
Now let's talk about the engine.
Okay, the heart of the beast.
You might expect a V8 in a car like this.
Yeah, that was the norm for high-performance cars back then.
But Acura went with a V6 for the NSX.
Really? Why did they do that?
Well, they had a few reasons.
I'm intrigued.
First of all, it was an all-aluminum engine.
Okay, so that makes it lighter.
Much lighter and more compact, which is important for handling.
Ah, I see. So they were thinking about weight distribution?
Exactly.
Oh.
Plus, they knew they could get the power they needed from a V6 with the right technology.
So they weren't sacrificing performance?
Nope, not at all.
So what kind of technology did they use?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. They introduced VTEC,
VTEC. What's that?
variable valve timing and lift electronic control.
Wow, that sounds complicated.
It was pretty revolutionary, actually. It was the first time this technology was used in a production car in the U.S.
So what does it do?
Basically, it changes the timing of the engine valves based on how you're driving.
Oh, okay.
So at lower speeds, it prioritizes fuel efficiency and smooth acceleration.
Makes sense.
But when you put your foot down and really want to go fast,
Yeah.
VTEC kicks in and gives you maximum power.
Like a boost.
Yeah, it was like having two engines in one.
That's clever.
And they didn't stop there. They also used titanium connecting rods in the engine.
Titanium. Wow, that's a high-end material.
Yeah, it's super strong and lightweight.
So what's the benefit of that?
It allowed the engine to rev even higher,
Wow.
which meant more power and a wider power band.
Wow, they really were pushing the limits.
All these little details that add up to make the NSX so special.
They were clearly obsessed with performance.
Oh yeah, but they also understood that power isn't everything.
Right. Control is just as important.
And that's something they really emphasized in the brochure, the importance of balance.
Like a yin and yang kind of thing?
Exactly. They even compared it to Formula One cars.
Oh, interesting. So they were drawing inspiration from the racing world.
Absolutely. They knew that a car could have all the power in the world, but if it wasn't balanced, it wouldn't be truly great.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between power and control.
Yep. They wanted the NSX to feel responsive and connected to the road, not like it was going to fly off the track at any moment.
And that's where the mid-engine layout comes in.
Ah, yes. Tell us about that.
So instead of having the engine in the front, like most cars,
Right.
they put it behind the driver closer to the center of the car.
I see.
This helps to distribute the weight more evenly, which makes a huge difference in handling.
So it's not just about where the power comes from, but also how it's delivered to the road,
Exactly. It's about maximizing grip and agility,
making the car feel nimble and responsive.
like an extension of the driver's body.
And to further enhance the handling, they used a double wishbone suspension system made from forged aluminum.
Forged aluminum, that sounds pretty high-tech.
It was. It's a type of suspension that's often used in race cars because it allows for greater control and precision when cornering.
So they were really borrowing from Formula One technology.
They were basically taking the DNA of a race car and adapting it for the street.
That's a cool way to put it.
And they didn't stop there.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about the all-aluminum engine?
Yeah.
Well, they went even further and built the entire chassis and body out of aluminum too.
The whole car.
Pretty much. It was a major breakthrough. The NSX became the first production car to have an all-aluminum unit body,
Wow, that's impressive.
and it made a huge difference in weight. The car was 40% lighter than a comparable steel chassis.
That's a significant reduction.
But they didn't sacrifice strength for lightness.
How'd they manage that?
They used a supercomputer to analyze the stress points and optimize the structure.
A supercomputer.
Back in 1991.
That's incredible.
It shows how committed they were to pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
They were really ahead of their time.
They really were.
So they had this lightweight and strong car.
Yeah, and they packed it with all this innovative technology like VTEC and the mid-engine layout.
They really were determined to create something special.
It's clear that they spared no expense in their pursuit of performance and innovation.
It's a testament to their vision and their passion for engineering.
And we're just getting started.
Here's more.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about the safety features and the driver-focused design.
I'm excited to hear more.
Let's take a quick break and then we'll dive into all of that.
Sounds good to me.
Supercomputers designing cars back then.
That's wild.
I know, right? Talk about being ahead of the curve.
And it wasn't just for the structural stuff either.
Oh,
The NSX also had some pretty advanced safety features.
like what?
Well, for starters, it had this thing called the traction control system.
TCS.
Yeah, exactly. Most cars back then just had basic traction control, which basically just stopped the wheels from spinning too much.
Right, but the NSX's TCS was way more sophisticated.
How so?
It could actually detect slippery surfaces and adjust the power going to each wheel to maintain grip.
Wow, so it was like it could anticipate what the road conditions were like?
Pretty much. It was designed to keep you safe, even in challenging situations.
That's a big step forward in terms of safety technology.
It really was. And unlike some other traction control systems at the time,
Yeah.
the NSX's system didn't compromise handling. It actually enhanced it.
So you could push the car harder knowing that it had your back.
Exactly. It gave you that extra confidence to really enjoy the performance.
They really thought of
And
everything.
they did. And they didn't skimp on the brakes either.
Oh, yeah, brakes are kind of important in a sports car.
Just a little. The NSX had a 4-channel anti-lock braking system.
Another first for a production car.
You got it. This meant that each wheel had its own independent braking system.
Wow, that's advanced.
It was cutting-edge stuff at the time.
So no matter what the conditions were like, the car could brake with maximum effectiveness.
Precisely. You always had that stopping power when you needed it.
It's like they took every aspect of performance and safety to the next level.
They were obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that all this tech, all this innovation,
Yeah.
it was all in service of something bigger.
What's that?
The driver's experience.
Ah, yes. The human element.
This car wasn't just about going fast or having the latest gadgets.
Right.
It was about creating a connection between the driver and the machine.
Making the car feel like an extension of yourself.
Exactly. And the brochure really emphasizes that point.
How so?
They talk about how they designed the cockpit to be hospitable to the driver and passenger.
Hospitable. That's not a word you usually hear when talking about sports cars.
I know, right? They're usually cramped and uncomfortable.
But Acura wanted the NSX to be different.
They wanted it to be a car you could enjoy driving not just on a racetrack, but also on a long road trip.
So it was meant to be a practical sports car.
In a way, yeah. They gave it features like generous leg room, excellent visibility thanks to that F-16-inspired canopy windshield,
I love that windshield. It's so distinctive.
and even a usable trunk.
Practicality in a supercar. Who would have thought?
They really were breaking the mold.
It's like they were saying you don't have to sacrifice comfort and convenience to have performance.
And they paid attention to the smaller details, too.
Like what?
The placement of the baits controls the comfort of the seats, the feel of the steering wheel.
It's all about the ergonomics.
Exactly. They wanted to make sure that everything about the driving experience was intuitive and enjoyable.
So you could focus on the road and have fun.
Precisely. They even mentioned that while the NSX could handle the demands of someone like Ayrton Senna,
Oh, wow. A Formula One legend.
it was also designed to be approachable for everyday drivers.
Oh, it was a car for everyone.
In a sense, yeah. They wanted anyone to be able to experience the thrill of driving an NSX.
That's a pretty cool philosophy.
It is. And it's something that I think is still relevant today.
Cause so.
Well, in a world where cars are becoming increasingly complex and automated,
Yeah, with all the self-driving technology and whatnot.
it's easy to lose sight of the human element, the joy of driving.
The connection between car and driver.
Exactly. And I think the NSX serves as a reminder that those things are still important.
It's about more than just getting from point A to point B.
It's about the experience,
Yeah,
the feeling, the emotion.
it's about the journey.
And that's something that we should never forget.
Well said.
Now, speaking of the journey,
Yeah.
this brochure also highlights another key aspect of the NSX's design,
Which is?
the mid-engine layout.
Ah, yes, we were talking about that earlier.
Right, but I wanted to come back to it because it's so fundamental to the car's character.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, as we mentioned before, instead of having the engine in the front,
Yeah.
it's positioned behind the driver, closer to the center of the car.
Right.
And this has a profound impact on how the car handles.
In what way?
Well, for starters, it helps to distribute the weight more evenly between the front and rear axles,
Okay, that makes sense.
which in turn improves traction and stability.
So it's more planted on the road.
Exactly. And because the engine is closer to the center of gravity,
Yeah.
the car is able to change direction more quickly and with less effort.
So it's more agile and responsive.
You got it. It's like a dancer pivoting on their toes.
I can visualize that.
The NSX just flows through corners with such grace and precision.
It's poetry in motion.
It really is. And it's all thanks to that mid-engine layout.
It's a brilliant piece of engineering.
And it's something that Acura was very proud of.
How can you tell?
They devote a whole section of the brochure to explaining the benefits of a mid-engine design.
Oh, interesting.
They even go into detail about how they optimize the weight distribution and suspension geometry to achieve the perfect balance.
They were obsessed with balance, weren't they?
It was their mantra. They knew that a balanced car was a happy car.
And a fast car.
Absolutely. But it wasn't just about going fast. It was about feeling in control, feeling connected to the car and the road.
It's that sense of harmony between human and machine.
Exactly. And the mid-engine layout was a key part of achieving that harmony. It's almost like they were trying to create a symphony of motion and technology.
Yeah, a perfect blend of art and science.
And they pulled it off. The NSX was a masterpiece.
A true icon of its time.
And its influence can still be felt today.
Oh, absolutely. It set a new standard for performance cars.
And it inspired a whole generation of engineers and designers.
To think outside the box and push the boundaries of what's possible.
But as we look to the future,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, what would a mission statement car look like today?
That's a great question. Given all the advancements in technology,
Right, with electric cars, self-driving features, and all that.
it's a whole new landscape.
So how would you apply those same principles of balance, innovation, and driver-centric design to a modern car?
Well, I think some things are timeless. The desire for performance, the thrill of driving, the connection between car and driver.
Those are always going to be important.
But I think a mission statement car today would also have to embrace sustainability.
Oh, definitely. The environmental impact is a huge concern these days.
So maybe it would be an electric car or a hybrid.
But not just any electric car. It would have to be something truly special.
Right, something that pushes the limits of what's possible in terms of range and performance.
And it would have to be designed with the driver in mind.
Making it intuitive and enjoyable to drive.
Even with all the advanced technology.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between innovation and the human experience.
Maybe it would even have some self-driving capabilities.
But in a way that enhances the driving experience, not replaces it.
Like a co-pilot that can assist you when needed, but also lets you take control when you want to.
Exactly. It's about giving the driver the best of both worlds.
A car that's both intelligent and exhilarating.
A true reflection of our times.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is. The future of the automobile is wide open.
And who knows? Maybe one of our listeners will be the one to design the next iconic car.
That would be amazing.
It could be you. So keep dreaming, keep innovating, and keep pushing the boundaries.
Because the road ahead is full of potential.
Well said. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive.
It's been a fascinating journey.
I agree. We've covered a lot of ground from the history of the NSX to the future of performance cars.
And I think we've learned a lot along the way.
I hope so. But more importantly, I hope we've inspired you to think about what the car of the future might look like.
And to maybe even dream of designing it yourself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Until then, keep on driving.